very easy to point fingers and say that, oh, this person shouldn't be happy, this person shouldn't be complaining, this person shouldn't even be talking. They don't even have a space to even talk because they don't understand where we come from with this. And I feel like sometimes it could be very valid, but it also kind of depends on the context. And it could be very also easy to say that this person is in no position of kind of like wanting to be unhappy. This person is in no position of having to worry about things in their life because they kind of have their life sorted out for them. So it's like, why do you, it's almost as if people are pointing out the fact that why are people being human. Essentially, that's what it is. Imagine telling someone, oh, but you don't have to complain because you don't do what I feel like just because in a certain department, in a certain part of their life, just because it's cleared for them or because they are very stable in this point of their life, it can also literally mean in another part of their life that you don't even know about. You don't even know it exists. There's another part of just themselves that you don't even know about. You wouldn't even think of. Just because you're so blinded, or not really blinded, just because that's the side of that person that you see the most, just because that's the side of them you see a lot, that's the side of themselves a lot of people have a perception of, but other people don't really know the nitty-gritty. Like, they feel like a lot of people are always quick to talk and make opinions based on something, make opinions based on someone's life, make opinions based on someone's personality, make opinions based on someone's family, make opinions on someone's background and everything. But you don't actually know what that person is lacking within their lives. You just focus on every other aspect where they're sort of fulfilled, where they have it all. It seems as though everybody is aware and everybody knows that not everything is as it seems, but at the same time I feel like we live in a society where, yes, we can say nothing is as it seems, but it's still like a thing of like, we still talk and make judgments based on this and everything. But it's like, you're a person that is aware that not everything is as it seems, but you're still talking like a person who is not really understanding of that. Not everything is as it seems, and I feel like everybody knows that, right? But I feel like certain people actually forget that sometimes. And it's like, you guys may be saying like, girl, why are you reminding us? Like, we already know. That's so typical, that's so cliche to even say. I think just because someone looks as if they have the perfect life, they have it all, everything is sorted for them, and everything. They're with the perfect partner, they have the perfect life. But behind all of that, it's just like something completely different from what other people would probably think. And I think it's so crazy because it shocks people every day that someone had their life together. Like, oh, but her life was perfect. Why did she commit suicide? Because her life wasn't perfect. And I think it's just like a thing of like, people tend to forget that aspect of like, you're actually human. And I think it's so crazy. I feel like because of those perceptions that people have of you, and because they categorize you and label you as this person, it's almost as if they forget that you're human and that they can say whatever they want to say about you, and that whatever they say, it's not going to affect you because you already have so much in your life that why would you be bothered about what this other person is going to say? Girl, you don't know that person. You don't know that person personally. You don't know what affects them and what doesn't affect them. In this video, I want to focus on like overachievers / perfectionists. I want to focus on couples. I want to focus on family. I want to focus on lifestyle. I want to start with the overachiever / perfectionist. The downside of being an overachiever is that once you've actually achieved something, and you're kind of almost able to maintain that top spot and everything, and everybody views you as this person, okay, you're a perfectionist, you have it all together. Like, they've never caught you lacking. They've never just seen you kind of like off your game. They've never seen you as a person who is not being an overachiever in this instance, who's not being a perfectionist in this instance. They've always just seen you as this person who is an overachiever and who's a perfectionist. And it's just like, because of that, now you also have a label, and because you have that label and people have now created another narrative, now it's sort of like you have to live up to that, because if you don't, you're gonna get criticized if you don't. And it's just like, that's the sad reality of it all. It's just like, once society has put you under this label, once you want to experiment or once you want to branch out, you will get criticized for it, because it's like, why are you doing something that's so unfamiliar to what you used to do? Why are you branching out? There will be all of these, questions and stuff like that. Like, it's almost like they have to maintain a persona now. It's almost like they have to maintain a persona, and it's like they actually can't be who they want to be. And now that essence, and it's so crazy because I think a lot of people don't realize how much people themselves can suck the passion out of you in whatever area. If you have a passion for music, if you have a passion for writing, if you have a passion for just anything. And I just feel like it's the people and the environment within itself that can literally suck the passion out of you. Because what do you mean now you're demanding things from me? And it's just like, the second that I want to just do something for myself, I now have to cater to you and your mindset that is just stuck on me being in this particular area of my life that I'm no longer in alignment with, just because you want me to. People will be so quick to ever tell that person, oh, why did you stop doing this? Why did you stop doing that? Why did you stop doing that? It's because that person was in that career for a specific amount of time. But then it was the people themselves that kind of made them lose that passion for it, because it wasn't even just about the demand for it and the whatever. It was about the way they were critiquing the way that, this person was doing this, and they were just hating on the way this person was doing this, right? And it's like, it's almost like this expectation of like, they would expect you to have tougher skin because you signed up for this, so you should kind of know what you're in for. It's like, no, I didn't sign up to be like hated on. I didn't sign up to live in a depressive industry and a depressive environment where I can never just flourish and succeed, where everything I do is criticized, where everything I do is questioned, where everything I do is just wrong in the eyes of the audience. And it's like, that's not what you signed up for. You signed up for wanting people to resonate with your stories, your content, your art, your work, whatever the case is. Because let's say you're working in hospitality, bro, and you just love working with people, but it's just the people around there just suck. They like, let's just be real, they just suck. Do you think that a person is probably still going to have love for their job? Most probably not. And especially like, to what extent and to what they actually had to endure. Because I think it's more than just surface level, opinions of other people, like whatever opinions that other people have. It could be more than that. It could turn into something that's, people being sexist, people being racist, people being all of these things. And it's just like, it can literally put someone in a position where, you know what, I actually want to kind of back away from this. Because it's the second that they back away from this, it's like, now you're kind of free from the opinions of other people, because now you've detached from the situation, from it itself, and you don't have to identify as this version of yourself, because you're no longer a part of it anymore. You're no longer doing anything that's gonna contribute towards you being under this category, or whatever the case is. These overachievers, you don't know how many sacrifices they had to put into getting into the position that they are in, to get the label that they're in, to get, in like just the level and the status that they have right now. You don't know what they had to do in order to get there. And I just feel like people think that it's so easy for people to gain success, fame overnight. And yes, maybe a few people have, but how many of them are still existing? How many of them still have an impact? How many of them are still relevant? How many of them are actually building onto their craft something that is actually significant, and it actually has an effect on people that is positive? I'm not talking about these measly gossip PR, stories or whatever, just to keep them relevant. I'm talking about their skill being able to keep them relevant in the industry where they're in. It always hits me when people like compare themselves to these people, because comparison is something that I will never ever really understand. Because it's like, if you are now put in that position, since you love to compare yourself to this person, right? If you are now put in the position of this person who's an overachiever, where they had to sacrifice things that you don't even know what they even had to sacrifice, and It's like, would you go through everything? Would you go through every negative experience they went through in order to get to the place where you want to be, which is the place that they wanted to be, essentially? So would you go through all of that just to get to that? You probably wouldn't. You probably wouldn't. And the reason why I'm so confident in saying that you probably wouldn't is because you lack the drive, you lack the passion, you lack the ambition that they have for this particular thing. Because they know why they started this thing in the beginning, because they have passion for it. They have a reason as to why that thing is so close to their hearts. You, it's not something that's close to you. So it's like, why would you even pull up all these sleepless nights and cross night and do all of these things, all of these sacrifices in order to do something that's not even like close to your heart? You wouldn't do that. That would be like a waste of time for you. So it's like, that's another thing to consider. Just because sometimes you see people getting rewarded and getting all of these rewarded for all their efforts and stuff like that, and you'd be like, oh, it must be so easy for them because they're naturally smart, or it must be so easy for them because they don't really have to do anything. Girl, bye. Number 2, lifestyle. A lot of people want the type of lifestyle that other people have. Do I blame them? Probably not. But would I want to swap? Probably not. Probably not. Let's say you've gotten this lifestyle of this person. Are you going to be able to sustain that lifestyle? Is that lifestyle going to be in alignment with who you want to be? Oh. Lifestyle is literally about the way a person lives, like the food that they eat, the people that they interact with, the things that they do throughout their day, the things that they do throughout their week. Who are they with in their free time? Would you still want to be a part of that person's lifestyle? Now you may be thinking, probably yes, because you're just seeing the lifestyle from an outside perspective. You're just seeing it as a spectator, not someone who's actually living the lifestyle that they're living right now. So you may be thinking, yeah, I kind of have a shot at living, I still want to have their lifestyle, because look at their lifestyle. Again, the answer should be no. It should be no, because you know why? You and that person have different values, you have different beliefs, you have different interests. Is that they do their morning rituals, you probably wouldn't do that because that's probably not aligned to your beliefs. What they do on their weekends, you probably wouldn't want to do things that is in accordance to their lifestyle and what they do in their free time or whatever, because you have different things that you would love. Maybe they love to party and everything and be extroverted, and they love networking with people. But what if you're an introverted person who just wants to be by themselves during their free time? It's just 2 completely different things that people don't really often consider. And it's just like, that's actually something to really deep and to actually really think about when, wanting to be envious and wanting to compare yourself to somebody else's lifestyle and the way in which they live. Really and truly think, would you not want to live that lifestyle? Because this thing of having like 2 different interests and 2 different destinies, there's no way in which those 2 lifestyles can be compared. There's no way in which those 2 lifestyles could possibly be aligned. Because if it was for you, if that's the light, bro, if that was the lifestyle that was meant for you, you would probably see it in alignment, and you would probably take it as inspiration rather than just wanting to compare yourself and envy that person's lifestyle. Like, let's be real. Like, some people, they'll see certain people live this lifestyle. And I don't know if I've seen this in a movie. I know it's a movie, but like, it could be used in a fictional instance, guys. Where some people, they wake up as a different person. I think they wake up a different person. They're living a different lifestyle. And they enjoy it for the first part, like the first parts of your life, this other person's life, being someone else's shoes. They kind of like it. But low-key, they kind of miss their old life. They kind of miss what they loved doing. What was, true to them and everything. They miss that part of themselves. They miss what makes them them. Because now they actually realize that I'm not doing things that are just, it's not really aligned to who I am as a person. This is clearly somebody else's lifestyle and their interests. So that's also another thing. But this is not really, I think it's not really linked to lifestyle. But I think it's so crazy how we live like in a time and in a society where certain people wish they had, attributes of somebody else, and then those attributes is something that that other person actually hates. They hate it within themselves, but somebody else wishes and dreams that they had those attributes. And it could be the same with you. It's just like certain things that you hate about yourself and that you wish you could probably just not have, but somebody else dreams of having that. Like, isn't that so crazy to think about? And it's just like, so, because you would think from afar that person must think they're the shit. That person must think that, you know, that person must be so confident and just so lucky to just be them, like be them basically. And then only to come and have a conversation with them and actually realize that no, this person is actually quite unhappy with a lot of the things that they have within themselves. And you're just like, damn, really? Like, you're actually insecure about X, Y, and Z. And that person is like, yeah. And it's just like, that's, you know, my friend always says Sonder, you know, and everything. And it's just like that realization of like, not everything is as it seems. Now you come to the realization of like, you've made your own assumptions of this own person, but this is actually how they think of everything else. This is how they actually feel. And through having that conversation, you're actually able to connect with them like a normal human being, other than just criticizing them for not being happy with what they don't have. Because now you're coming from a place of understanding, because you understand, oh, I also kind of don't like certain things about myself, blah 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 blah. You're trauma bonding, whether or not it could be a good or a bad thing, but it's at least coming from a place of empathy and understanding. I think that's what matters. And I just think that that essence of humanity has just gotten lost in today's age. You know, family, it's a very personal one. A lot of people that I've spoken to it in my life and everything, they kind of, where they just feel like they were probably part of a different family, merely because they don't feel as needed, they don't feel as loved, cared for, they feel like the black sheep or whatever the case is. Certain people also have perceptions of other people's families being perfect, which I can 100% confirm ain't no damn family perfect. Honey, that family picture where everybody looks happy, do you even want to think about what happened before that picture was taken, what actually happened? You probably don't want to know. Just an example, right? But I just feel like it's so easy to make assumptions just based on what you see on the outside, whereas I feel like if you were actually a fly on the wall in a different family's house, and you would actually see the dynamics in their families and everything, you would actually see that you wouldn't fit in that other family. Yes, you probably don't feel like you fit in this one, but I feel like you would actually see through their dynamics, through the way that they are, the way that they communicate, the things that they do, because mind you, every other family is different, you know, they're different from one another. The way that they communicate, the way that, you know, they speak to one another, the way in which they do things, the things in which they believe in, the things that they celebrate, all of those things are completely different from the family that you have right now. And it's just like, are you sure that you would want to be in alignment? Are you sure that your beliefs and your interests and everything would align with that family? Like, just like the mannerisms, and for me it's like heavy on the mannerisms and the way that they communicate. Because have you ever come across certain people like, god damn, I can't believe you were kind of raised that way? And it's just like, imagine you were a product of that environment. Imagine you were a product of an environment where you grew up in a very chaotic environment, or you grew up in a very violent environment. Like, there's so many things that happen in families that you wouldn't just want to, you just want to randomly just want to get yourself involved, because there's so much that goes down that you don't even know about. Like, that feeling of feeling like you probably don't belong, and whatever the case is, in a particular space that you're in a particular environment, girl, I completely understand. But it's just like a thing of like knowing that it won't be like this forever. I think that's also like a thing that you should promise yourself, that you in the future, when you're independent, that you're going to want better for yourself, and that maybe when you create something for yourself, that it's going to be, you're going to want it, and you're going to actually make sure that it's better than the environment that you grew up in, whatever. and you're just gonna make sure that you have to keep that promise to yourself. But also before even that all happens, because that's gonna happen like in the like future, before even that happens, you just have to reassure yourself that this is not gonna last forever. There's gonna be a point where you're out of that space and you have your own space. Last but not least, I want to talk about couples. Because people always just want to say, and I've been very much guilty of this, saying that I want their type of love, I want that type of relationship, a man that I need. Mind you, their dynamic is different. Mind you, that man was made for that woman for a reason, you know, and that they probably wouldn't align with you, and that's okay. And I think it's genuinely just all about alignment and just all about really understanding. People are so quick to say that I wish I had this type of relationship, I wish that I had this type of man in my life, I wish this, I wish that for my relationship, I wish everything in their love life, they just wish they kind of had what that other couple had. And it's just so crazy. Let's say this person was in a very public relationship and they actually come out and speak about their breakup and how things actually were, rather than how things showed themselves on the internet, like the differences. And it's just like, out of this relationship, when you actually see it for what it is, your rose colored glasses are off, and now you see the situation for what it is, and that person has come to the realization of all the things that they had to endure, specifically negative things that they didn't really think of when they were in the relationship. And it's just like, that's the type of love that you were manifesting. That's the type of love that you were yearning for. That's the type of love that you were praising. That's the type of love that you needed. And that could have easily just been you, but with a different person. Do you understand? So it's like, be careful. You know when people say be careful what you wish for, they are not joking. You can't just say that just because of what it looks like from the outside. I know it comes off the tongue very easily. It's just something that just like slips. I've been there, and I think I still do say that. But I think it's really important to kind of like separate it from yourself. I think a lot of people want to compare their relationships with like relationships that celebrities have. And it's like, you can never compare the relationship that you have, you as an ordinary citizen, with somebody else in the public eye. You probably don't even want that relationship that someone else has in the public eye, because you don't know their dynamic. You don't know what actually goes on in their relationship. And if you probably knew half of the things that were going on, you probably wouldn't even want such a relationship. Be happy with what you have. Be appreciative of what you have. Be grateful for what you have in this moment. Don't take it for granted. Actually appreciate what you have for what it is. Especially with this relationship in the public eye, a lot of people have built themselves based on a relationship with somebody else, meaning they don't even might have like a sense of identity with this person, because the brand within like themselves is like just being with someone and having a relationship with that person. They didn't even have a brand of like their own and stuff like that. And I feel like also certain people may keep such relationships just because they still want to be relevant. They still want people to tune in, because people live for romantic couple content. Like, people live for couple content, and it's just like a thing of like, you never know what's going on in that relationship, the physical, mental abuse that could possibly occur. And truly, both of those individuals are so unhappy in their relationship, and they just keep in the relationship in order to save face. And this is not to say that a girl can't dream, that a girl can't dream to have a man who knows he's her dream man, and he yearns for her, and he loves her, and adores her, and is obsessed with her and everything. But I'm just saying, do not put these relationships on a pedestal. Yeah, with that being said, I have talked a lot. My throat is dry, my knee, my leg is sore. And I'm cold as hell because it's cold in Cape Town, it's winter. You'll make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in whatever next video that comes out. So yeah.